Hey everybody, Alan Hernandez here, and I am here to interview one of the top producing lenders in Houston. We are so excited to have you. Beatrice, you and I go back quite a while now, and somehow the world has brought us back to reconnect. I'm so excited to be able to have you on as a panelist. For those of you that don't know about Beatrice, she not only is the CEO of Prosperity Enterprise Funding, has been in the lending world for a while now, which she's going to tell you all about that here shortly. But most importantly, she's also now working on real estate developments. And we invited her out to the real estate rally because she is one of the most influential women in Houston that we see that are up and coming, that are creating waves, and that we think everyone out there should follow. So let's just get started. If you want to tell us a little bit more about what your story is, Beatrice, how did you get started and what makes you passionate about real estate?
Right. So that's a great question. I've been asked that a lot before, and I always come back to the same reason why I started, right? And I started in the lending industry back in 2017. It was about the middle of the year when I got started, and I was coming from a medical background. And what had sparked my interest in lending was a very specific incident that had happened to me prior, a few months prior, where I was renting an apartment and the apartment adjacent to mine had caught fire. And I had to leave my apartment. It was 3 in the morning on a Friday night with my two daughters, and we had to evacuate and get in contact with the insurance companies and make all types of arrangements. Well, long story short, when that happened to me, some light bulb went off in my head and made me determined to buy my own house, right? So I wasn't going to be subject to somebody else leaving a candlelight on or whatever they wanted to do that could potentially end up killing us, right? So I started doing research. I ended up at the only place that I knew at the time would be able to provide me the information, which was the library. And so at the library, I looked for real estate books to figure out how to buy a house. And everything that I kept finding was books about real estate investing. And I was like, I just want to buy a house, right? So after listening to so many audio tapes and reading books, I decided that I was going to buy a house, but I was going to be a real estate investor at the same time. So I started looking for homes that were fixer uppers, right? And on my journey there, I knew that I had only so much capital and I needed more capital to be able to buy this house. So I ended up looking for a loan officer. I wanted to get a down payment assistance program to help me get some more capital so that I could buy this house and have money left over to fix it up. I ended up going through 3 or 4 loan officers trying to find the one that would help me do this. And after I finally found one, I ended up looking for a real estate agent, right? It worked kind of backwards. In the real estate industry, typically you see people go to the real estate agent first and then get the lender. But for me, it was backwards. I had actually went to the lender first and then found the agent. I had been lucky enough to find an agent who is also very well known in the Houston area. Him and his family are very influential, and they are big investors. So they are, fix and flippers of both commercial and residential properties. And he took me under his wing and he said, get into real estate. If this is really what you want to do, get into real estate. So we ended up, buying the house, and I ended up in real estate. He pointed me in the right direction. He said, go to this school, take this class, and do this. And so after evaluating things, I decided that the lending was the route I needed to go in, right? Why? Because I had so much difficulty finding the right lender to get the program I needed to buy this house. And so that's what pointed me in that direction.
That's actually my next question is what made you pick that specific niche? But it sounds like you were pointed in that direction. You just kind of listened to the way that the world was speaking to you, and that's what made you land there. And I love that about your story. How long did it take you, if you can remember, to be profitable when you first got started with your real estate career?
So I'm going to say I was profitable the first year. Okay. And the reason I'm going to say this is because when I was working in medical, I was making about $40,000 a year, right? And this was full-time work. When I got started in the lending industry, I got started about the end of July. And from July to December, I made more than what I had made in 1 year of working in the medical industry. So I contribute a lot of my profitability in those first 6 months to my mentor, who was mentoring me in the lending institution. His name is John Gutierrez. He was my mentor. He was the guy that said, do X, Y, Z, you're going to get business. So I did that and I was, yeah, profitable the first 6 months. So
I love it.
can't complain.
I love
I
it.
consider that a win. If I'm making more money than where I came from.
Yeah, absolutely. With that said, are we in a easy market to be in real estate, or are we in a hard market to be in real estate at the moment?
Right now, that's a good question. I think it's really all in the eye of the beholder, right? I like to believe that because I think the way that you see life and the way that you see the world is the way that things are going to come to you and appear to you. So if you think this is a difficult market, it's going to be a difficult market. If you think this is an easy market, it's going to be an easy market. And yeah, I have some people who are probably going to say, well, no, there's proof because if you're working in a market where the interest rates are this and this, yeah, that's fine. Maybe the interest rates are higher, maybe it's more expensive, but does that mean that it has to be harder for you to get business? Not necessarily, right?
I love that. That's a really good point of view and a great way to look at it. With that said, if someone was to come to you and they were new to the industry, what are three tips you would give them so that they could start on the right foot?
So I actually do have some newbies on our team here in the lending industry that we just took in. And I tell everybody the same thing. If you want to succeed, you have to do the work, right? And number one is you need to get out there. You need to get your name out there. You need to network. You need to market yourself on social media. And if you do those things and you follow up with the people that you're meeting with, you're going to get business. It's that easy.
So
You don't have to go. Yeah.
you mean you coach people to network, to make phone calls, and to follow up?
Yes.
It seems so simple, but so few real estate agents and loan officers actually do it. Don't you agree?
I agree. I agree. And it just
So
comes down to how bad do you want it, you know?
yeah, exactly. In your opinion, in this market, whether it's an easy market or a hard market for those people out there in their view, who's making the money right now?
I think right now there's probably more opportunity for that's a tough one, but I would say definitely lenders are making money, right? Lenders are making money. I've seen a lot of real estate agents that are kicking ass out there, and a lot of the ones that are making money right now on the realtor side are realtors that are specializing in first time buyers. Okay, because that right there, that market is always in need, always. We don't see a lot of
Yeah,
people that already own houses going out there and looking for another home right now because the rates are a little intimidating, but we see a lot of newbies still getting out there and looking for their first house. So there's people
yeah.
making money on both sides in real estate.
I love that. And with that said, what are some of the market changes that you see coming up that maybe you think everyone should be aware of, or what are you planning ahead for?
I think right now AI is one of the biggest competitors on the market, right? And there's a lot of rumor that AI is going to take over certain positions and real estate or realtors is going to be a non-existent thing and that lending people are going to be able to get pre-approved in seconds online by bots and things like that. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things that we're trying to prepare ourselves for is how can we integrate more technology into our companies, right? How can we be more of those type of companies that people click, send their information, and they're instantly contacted and getting all of their questions answered on the spot. So just really kind of keeping up with AI, I think is a great thing to do for any company right now.
I love that. That's really good advice. Don't let me forget to ask you because one of the reasons that we wanted to have you on this panel is because One, you're a top producing loan officer. You're the only loan officer on the panel, by the way. You should know that. Everyone else has a different niche or a different format that they're producing their main line of income. But one of the things that everyone shares in common on this panel is that everyone also invests in real estate. So I want to ask you about what your investment side of the business looks like. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, yeah. So it kind of goes back to the beginning, right? How did I get started in here? I wanted to be a fix and flipper, right? And then I ended up getting into loans and helping everybody buy their first house and down payment assistance. But inside, I always wanted to be an investor. So what did I do? A couple years ago, I got married with my husband, who was in the construction industry, and at the time he was doing remodels. And I told him from day one, I said, look, I think me and you need to do something together, right? I think we need to build houses because building houses, to me, the numbers make a lot more sense. We control the cost that we're investing into the properties, and then we sell them for 3 or 4 times more than what we built. The cost to build them was. So it was always there. And then about 2 years ago, I started looking into how to finance construction deals. And that's when I said, okay, I think we can make this happen. So our niche in investing ends up being construction, new development, right? So last year we did our first duplex property, and I chose a duplex over a single. We've never built a single family home. We've only built duplex. And the reason that I did that was because after looking at the numbers, I could make the same amount that a builder makes building one times two, okay, in
Love
one
it.
build. So it was faster, it was more efficient, and we went that route. And so right now, that turned out really good for us. We had one of our agents listed for us. She did a great job. We also decided that worst case, if it didn't sell, we would lease both sides out and still make more money than leasing a single family, right? So multi always makes sense.
So
And
really what you're
now,
doing is you're developing multi-units. That's fantastic.
correct, yeah. And so the goal is to build apartments, right? And build some commercial projects, which we have some in the back burner right now that we're kind of working on. Our current projects are an eight unit townhouse single family development in the city of Houston, and we decided to take this one on because the land was build ready, the lots were platted, and it was just sitting there. So we took it on. We said, hey, let's do this in the meantime while we are working on a pre-development project in Conroe for another subdivision of about 14 duplexes right now that are going to be built to sell. So in the meantime, we have something we can actively start, because in the development, when you actually have to develop the land before you build the properties, is a pretty long process. So we're doing all of it from zero on up. And so we needed to have something we're actively working while we're working on pre-development on the other side. So that's how we invest.
I love it. Thank you so much for letting us know about that. Besides everything you've already shared with me, what are some of the other questions that somebody that comes out to our real estate rally happening on November 9th, what are some of the questions they should ask about you, your business, and your expertise?
So for everybody that's interested in building, right, and becoming a developer or what have you, maybe a first question would be, how do I obtain financing, right, to be able to do this? So that's a good question. Another question might be, hey, where do you think that the most money can be made? Is it being a lender? Is it being a builder? Is it being a real estate developer? And then what should I develop as my first project, right? And should I start by myself, or should I have a partner? Because we do a lot of partnerships. And I think there's a big misconception in the real estate industry that people think they have to do projects by themselves, and you don't have to.
Yep, I completely agree. Well, we can't wait to have you on this panel. I am so excited to be able to reconnect with you and thrilled to see your growth in this industry. It's awesome to see your business growing, you just dominating out there. And I want to make sure that everybody out there that is right now considering getting a ticket or not getting a ticket, it's make sure you get a ticket. Come on out. We're going to visit with Beatriz Cruz, three other top producing women in the industry. We're going to bring you guys all the information that you need. Beatrice, thank you so much for being on, for contributing to this event. We're excited to have you on board, and I know that you're going to bring a ton of value to everyone that shows up.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us on too as well. I really appreciate it. I'm excited to be there. I'm excited to share any information that I can with people. I love helping people. So I really appreciate you, Alan, for putting it together.
Absolutely. We'll see you soon. Thanks for being on.
Bye.